Caroline Van Vlardigan.
Good evening. Quebec is moving to expand the French language charter to English adult ed and vocational programs. The government says Anglophones with historic rights to English education would not be affected, but tens of thousands of others would. Sweeta Rassi on the plan and the pushback.
That's Quebec's French language minister, Jean-François Roberge, officially tabling Bill 8, expanding the province's charter of the French language to adult education programs and vocational training. Under the proposed bill, 27,000 students studying in English will have to move to the French sector.
Le français est vulnérable.
Roberge, along with Education Minister Sonia Lebel, says this bill will not apply to the province's so-called historic Anglophone community. Instead, it focuses on newcomers and immigrants whose first language is neither French nor English, most of whom live in Montreal.
We want to entice them to learn in French.
Reaction from the English school boards were swift. Joe Ortona is the president of the Quebec English School Boards Association.
You're going to have a dropout rate that's going to go up. You're going to have more unemployment, and you're going to have a terrible impact on Quebec's economy.
Ortona says 14,000 students are enrolled in these programs. This bill could lead to funding cuts and eventual program closures. The Lester B. Pearson School Board chairperson says she wants to see the bill scrapped entirely.
I imagine there are a lot of students who would just be full of fear that they could not cope in the French system.
Meanwhile, the English Parents Committee Association of Quebec is also pushing back, saying Quebec can still protect the French language and provide access to education that meets basic needs. The CAQ says there will be a transition period, which means the new rules won't come into effect until 2028. And that's if the bill gets passed. The National Assembly ends on June 12th, with the provincial election looming in the fall. Sweeta Rassi, CTV News, Quebec City.
An altercation inside a Walmart in Montreal North led to the stabbing of a young man this week, and that man later died of his injuries. And today, Montreal police confirmed they've arrested 4 15-year-old boys in the attack. Here's Olivia O'Malley.
This Montreal North Walmart was the scene of a fatal stabbing. It happened while shoppers were inside. Niham Khaled was there with his mom.
I saw someone was on the ground, and then someone was running from Walmart employee to get the bag of first aid kit and everything.
It happened in the big box store near Henri Bourassa and Lacour Boulevards. Khaled says he saw a group of teenagers run out of the store.
I thought it's just teenagers being teenagers because that's how they are, just run around. But then maybe like a minute later, I heard like someone scream.
Police say a 22-year-old man was stabbed in the upper body with a sharp object during an altercation with a group of individuals. He was taken to hospital where his death was confirmed. A source tells CTV News the victim is Giovanni Ray Robbins. 24 hours after his death, police say they arrested 4 15-year-old boys.
There was a lot of witnesses that was inside that business and outside, so with all the information that were obtained, we were able to identify those 4 teenagers.
Police say the motive remains unclear. The Walmart has since reopened for business, but shoppers say they are feeling uneasy.
We are shocked, and we hope it never happens again.
This mother says she is considering buying her groceries elsewhere because she often brings her children here.
I will be scared to death, because my 3 kids are my life, so I will be scared to death.
Other Montreal North residents say there has been a rise in youth violence.
This area has a little bit violence, yes.
We see this thing quite often with young people.
The Major Crimes Unit is in charge of the ongoing investigation. Police say it's Montreal's 9th homicide of the year. Olivia O'Malley, CTV News.
A 22-year-old man was shot and killed last night in Turin Park in Villeray. Police were called after shots were fired around 10:30 p.m. and the man was pronounced dead at the scene. It is Montreal's 10th homicide this year. And a 33-year-old man is dead as he was shot in his car in Laval. It happened around 8:30 this morning on Palardy Street in the Auteuil neighborhood. First responders tried to revive the man, but he was pronounced dead in hospital. The SQ has taken over that investigation. Well, Montreal police have released photos of 3 male suspects who simulated a public execution of Labour Minister Jean Boulet. The men used a mock guillotine to decapitate a papier-mâché effigy of Boulay. It happened on May 2nd during an International Workers' Day demonstration in Place des Festivals. The suspects could face charges of uttering death threats and criminal harassment.
It's not black or white, but definitely one thing is for sure. Using a simulation of a public execution is not a good way of doing things. And the Montreal police will have an eye on that. And we will warn the protest organizers that they should not be using that type of means to express themselves. And if they do, they are walking on a fence. Mm-hmm. And they can quickly fall on the side of becoming a criminal offense.
And anyone with information is asked to contact Montreal Police. Well, if you want to buy a lottery ticket, you may soon be able to do it at the self-checkout machine at the grocery store. Lotto Quebec will be testing a pilot project this summer, and gambling addiction advocates are concerned. Here's Matt Gilmore.
Lotto Quebec hit the jackpot in 2025, for the first time exceeding $3 billion in total revenues. Roughly half of that will be paid as a dividend to the provincial government. $1.9 billion was paid out to winners, another record for a single year. Now, Lotto Quebec has plans to make the lottery ticket buying process even easier. A summer pilot project will allow some grocery store shoppers to purchase a ticket at the self-checkout, printing the ticket directly onto receipt paper. In a statement, a spokesperson wrote, "The idea is to offer a seamless experience for purchasing certain draw-based lotteries, such as Lotto Max or Lotto 649. But at the Chabad Lifeline Addiction Care Center, the idea is raising concern."
On one hand, it's a brilliant marketing campaign. On the other hand, it's so exploitive because there's going to be a percentage of the population that's like asking if you want crack cocaine or not.
Benjamin Bresinger says cases of gambling addiction have skyrocketed.
I think there's something like 35% increase just in the last year.
He says sports betting apps and advertising are a major factor and warns against making any kind of gambling easier.
That we see here real life consequences of people who started out buying a lotto ticket, very possibly started out buying one lotto ticket, then they bought 4 and 5. But we're missing the point. If we think that the problem is the gambling and the accessibility to gambling, that's not the problem. The problem is what's going on inside of people.
Lotto Quebec declined our request for an interview on this, but in its annual revenue filing said it spent $36 million last year on prevention for problem gambling. Matt Gilmore, CTV News.
Well, it appears a government plan to ban the sale of energy drinks to minors could be blocked by a single M&A. There have been growing calls for a ban since a 15-year-old taking ADHD medication died after drinking a single can of Red Bull. But the opposition, Liberals and PQ, support the CAQ bill, but a conservative M&A argues the CAQ government is moving too quickly and shouldn't rush to fast-track legislation before the session ends next week.
We undertake to do this debate on after the election. So we don't want to stop it just for stopping it. We want to stop the bill just because we don't have enough time to make sure that we have a position, the right answer to the right problem.
And Blanchette Vézina is a former CAQ minister herself. She left the party last fall and joined the Conservative Party of Quebec earlier this year. Well, we've all heard about the wonders of AI, but when it makes a mistake, it can do a lot more than just embarrass. It can even sting. Here's Stéphane Giroux.
Bishop Street in Montreal is believed to be named after 19th century Anglican bishop Francis Fulford, except in Montreal's 747 bus line has been rechristened Bishop, as in a honey store, and it created a negative buzz at the STM.
So yes, we're using AI probably in many places. Probably sometimes we need to have some supervisor in there in that case, it didn't happen.
The STM says it will rectify the sign, but it couldn't explain why its map wasn't proofread in the first place. Examples of questionable translations abound in the city. Take the street Prince of Wales in NDG. A local contractor made a huge blunder by calling it Prince of Wales.
We don't see any whales or any sea around here. You know what I'm saying? So
I don't even think it's somebody's humor. It's somebody's illiteracy.
Now, the sign might be funny, but for a lot of people, it's also a sign that we're relying way too much on artificial intelligence.
This story is a perfect example of why AI cannot be trusted to fully take over from humans anytime soon. It makes mistakes, it hallucinates, it lies, it confabulates.
An embarrassment, too, for professional translators who are being replaced by AI.
We do check, we do verify the translation. So it's even more than proofreading, because you have to check the terminology, the technical terminology. Is that the right words, the right syntax, the right grammar, everything?
Proof, she says, that humans still have the edge when it comes to common sense. Stéphane Giroux, CTV News.
The commissioner of Major League Soccer is optimistic that renovations to the Olympic Stadium can be done in time to welcome CF Montreal a year and a half from now. Don Garber was shown illustrations of the future interiors of the stadium during a tour of the work site today, and he was impressed with plans to install a new roof and renovate the interior spaces to bring fans closer to the pitch. Garber spoke of a $500 million price tag for the project, though the government has not yet committed to that amount, but he believes Montrealers will be proud of the stadium once it's overhauled.
But that stadium, and I'm not saying this because I want it to happen, I was blown away by the vision and seeing a hour-long presentation as to what that stadium could look like. That's going to be one of the best stadiums in the world, with an iconic tower that there's nothing like it anywhere in the world. Coming in from the airport, and as far as the eye can see, you could see the Olympic Stadium.
CF Montreal plans to start playing at the stadium full-time, including in the colder winter months during the winter of 2027-28. Quebec's Maxime Crépeau will be Canada's starting goalkeeper at the FIFA World Cup. Canada's coach, Jesse Marsh, chose Crépeau over Dane St. Clair. The 32-year-old from Candiac plays for Orlando City in the MLS right now. Crépeau is also a longtime men's national team member. He missed out on the 2022 World Cup with a broken leg, so starting in goals this time would be a dream come true.
I want to say thank you to my teammates and my family, my entourage, everybody that's been through that journey with me. It's something that I'm very proud of, and obviously I don't take anything for granted when I put the jersey on. So it's a moment that I can be extra proud at that moment. So.
And Canada's opening World Cup match is against Bosnia next Friday. Still ahead, popular musician and scientist. The surprising alchemy of Quebec's new chief scientist is next. Quebec's new chief scientist was named last week, and unlike many scientists, he has not spent his entire life working quietly in a lab. Jérôme Duprat also stood for many years on stage, playing music to thousands of fans as one of Quebec's most beloved bands, Les Cowboys Fringants. And Jérôme Duprat, the Cowboys bassist and now Quebec's new chief scientist, joins us now. Monsieur Duprat, first of all, félicitations, congratulations on your appointment, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So we saw you named last week by Bernard Drinville, who we know is a huge fan of the band's music. I think he sang some lyrics when Carl Tremblay died in 2023. But I think it comes as a surprise to a lot of people that aside from being part of this band that they love, you're also an award-winning scientist.
Yeah, most of people in Quebec know me for being on a stage with a bass guitar in my hand with Les Cowboys Fringants from the mid-90s. But that very same time, I started scientific career. So for 30 years, I've been in studying, and for the last 12 years, being a professor and researcher in the network of the Université du Québec. So I've been in labs, I've been in classroom, I've been developing science while I was performing as an artist.
So what a double life. How did you manage to combine these two passions all these years successfully?
Well, it's about creativity, it's about passion, but it's also about teamwork. So my work as a scientist has been done with colleagues, with the students, with a huge network of researchers. So developing collaboration, developing ideas, and it's the same with the band. I've worked with my teammates, my band members, and as a group we've worked together, and when it's about passion, it's about creativity, you never count the hours.
What motivated you to say yes, Monsieur Duprat, to this new role, and what do you see as the biggest challenges Quebecers are facing now scientifically?
There's many challenges right now and ahead of us as a society. Let's think about our aging demography, about climate change, about artificial intelligence. So these challenges can be we have a lot of solutions coming from science. So this is for me a great challenge, a great motivation to be there to bring the best information, the best science for decision maker, to help public decision, but also to initiate a conversation with the population of Quebec on how science is a public good. Science saves lives. It can help us adapt and to climate change, to develop many sectors of Quebec economy. So it's really an honor. It's a great role to put science ahead and have a great dialogue with all the society stakeholders.
And are you going to be able to perform at all anymore? Because I think you're still listed as one of the current members of the band. If they have a gig somewhere, can you just show up?
Well, the band is alive, but we're now on pause for shows. So this leaves me space to be fully dedicated to this new position, this new role. For sure, art, music, Les Cowboys will always be in my life, and we hope that in the coming years we can regroup and be there for the fans, be back on the stage someday somehow. But for the moment, it's really all about science.
What do you think your friend Cal would say to you today if he found out you were Quebec's top scientist?
Well, we're still very close. All the band members, we talk regularly. Every day, someone's is talking about asking questions about Les Cowboys. I hear the songs everywhere, so that keeps me very close to the music, to art. I think Cal would be very proud of me, but also of Jean-François and Marianique, who are still on stage performing. So the band is alive, the songs are alive, art and science are so closely linked that I think it's still a great story to be written.
Absolutely. Monsieur Duprat, thank you so much, and the best of luck in the new role.
Thank you very much.
And a group of Montreal researchers are making progress towards developing a medication against Ebola. The team at the Montreal Clinical Research Institute says it has a drug that looks promising. If successful, the medication could be taken to prevent Ebola and to help those infected. The next step is pre-clinical studies and testing on animals.
We hope that the animal part may be more advanced in the fall when we will test it in Winnipeg with their new tests. If it's good in animal, then we can start to look for developing that drug for human.
We are still working on this one, at least one drug is particularly promising. So what you can do is a candidate drug, but we can't say for sure that it is a drug that can be used in human. That will come later on. But all the signs, all the indications are that it is probably a good one.
And yes, that was Jean Chrétien's brother, in case you're wondering, and researchers still can't say when the drug will be ready to treat humans. Still ahead, the later the berry, the sweeter the taste.
For breaking news and local news that matters to you, download the CTV News app right now by scanning the QR code on your screen using your smartphone. Or you can also go to our website, ctvnewsmontreal.ca. Weather brought to you by Gratian Scaff's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
Well, it's early June, but feeling a lot more like the middle of July. We had a warm start to the day today. That was at a temperature of 19 degrees for those of us in the Montreal area. And we did move up from there. Our expected high was at 30 degrees. Back in 1963 is when we initially hit the record for today at 30.6. And looking at our long-range forecast, we could see more daytime highs in the 30s pretty soon. But here's what's coming for tonight. Expecting to see a warm one, so a low of 17 along with a few clouds in the skies. Also seeing some light winds gusting up to 20 kilometers from the southwest. Those will start to die down, as we head to tomorrow morning. We're looking at sun and clouds to start the day, and then by afternoon we could be up by 10 degrees to a temperature of 28 as our daytime high. So along with that, we are expecting to see some showers, but that should come later in the evening. So this is again as winds continue to blow over from the southwest. It's expected to bring some showers to Quebec City before we hit Montreal. At around 11 p.m. is when we're seeing those showers working their way toward us here. And then we are looking at a bit of a rainier weekend. So on Saturday, forecasting roughly 13 millimeters potentially. Sunday could bring an additional 1. We're looking at daytime highs of 22 and 21 degrees for the weekend, but then it's good news looking toward next week. We are seeing lots of sun and clouds to varying degrees, continuing through the middle of the week and even into Thursday. Also seeing daytime highs on the rise. So on Monday, we're looking at a temperature of 26. By Thursday, that could be a high of 30 degrees, but you'll want to watch out for the humidex because it's going to feel more like 34 and 35. That's to say there is lots of summer-like weather on its way.
Well, speaking of the weather, Quebec's strawberry season is a bit delayed because of it, but it seems that there's a sweet side to that slow start. Here's Angela Mackenzie.
Out in one of her strawberry fields here at Ferme Forget in Laval, Rebecca Lamontagne sees the first berries beginning to appear.
We only grow strawberries that arrives end of June, beginning of July. I think we are like a few days late.
With the cold spring, Quebec strawberry producers are up to 5 days behind schedule. But there's a silver lining. They're getting sweeter berries and plenty of them. Like these, an early variety grown on a neighboring farm.
They're gorgeous. The taste, the quality of the fruit, really, they're gorgeous.
We should be seeing field-grown strawberries in grocery stores by early next week, says Jasmine Sauvé, General Manager of the Quebec Strawberry Growers Association.
When the spring is cool, it gives the time to the fruit to develop their sugar and their sweetness slowly, which typically will produce fruits that are a little bit more sweet than the usual.
Quebec strawberry industry has more than 350 growers, and the vast majority of the berries are sold within Quebec. Hail caused minor damage at Ferme Forget, but some farms were hit much harder. Sauvé says increasingly, climate change is making the growing season unpredictable.
Either there's too much rain, it's too cold, it's too warm, so it's hard to have a standard season right now.
That's why many family farms like this one produce a variety of crops to get them through the year.
If there's a frost and then we lose all our strawberries, well, we can have raspberries and squash and pumpkins.
But their strawberries are a sweet favorite, and in a few weeks' time, these fields will be filled with fruit and families.
They like to just come in the field and eat some and have the juice.
Satisfying cravings for a sweet taste of summer. Angela Mackenzie, CTV News.
Can taste them already. And that wraps it up for us tonight. For the latest news, you can listen to the Andrew Carter Morning Show at 5 on CJ 8800. And of course, you can always head to ctvnewsmontreal.ca for extended coverage. Thanks so much for staying up late with us. Have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.